Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today with Stamping with Loretta. I'm glad you stopped by. I have a share for you today. I'd like to show you a couple of things that I've been making for some swaps. I have gotten a couple of questions about some of the sites that I am currently on, and I would rather keep those private. I will private message you with that information for those that have asked, and that way we all stay safe and sound. So, okay, first thing I made, this is called a Pick 3 swap. And since I'm new to the site, you kind of have to earn your stripes, so to speak, and participate in the newbie swaps. And so I'm hoping that I will get really nice stuff back. I love newbies, as you all know. I think that you have to start somewhere. I know that I look back at some of the things I made at the beginning of learning to stamp and scrapbook and things like that, and I kind of laugh. And sometimes I go, well, I wasn't too bad for a beginner. So I'm so glad for those of you who are watching and are new to the stamping and scrapbooking kind of craft world, if you will, that I want to encourage you to do your very best work. Always be proud of what you do. And trust me, those of us who receive it in swaps absolutely will adore whatever you send, and trust me, I do. So the first thing I have here, you saw this ATC yesterday. Just want to show that because this is all going into this envelope. So this is the little package. It was tied in a bow. I'll retie that later. But you had to send a note card, so I actually made 3. These are 4 by 4 1/4 and 4 by 4, only because I was using scraps of cardstock for the base and then layering them from there. Just because I do need to start using some of my stash of scrap papers. I need to be a little bit better about that, and one of my goals is to work with what's on my desk, and when I'm finished with it, clean it up, put it away, because I haven't been doing that, and I either lose stamps or I forget I had something or I forget where I put it, and I am determined to be better about that for myself, because then life is just easier. And the funny thing is, the rest of my house is really, really well organized, and easy to navigate, and you can find things, and it's clean, and it's like, I just kind of get lazy when I get in my little craft area sometimes. So there you have my admission. But here's one of the little cards I made. This is just a simple get well card. I can't remember who made the stamps. This is just a hello. The hello on the front of this is a die from Stephanie Bernard and the Stamps of Life. The die itself is made by Sizzix. I handmade the envelope in this one as well, and just used some Versamark ink to stamp the words hello. Okay, and last but by no means least, this is definitely a 4 by 4 card. I put a few layers to add a little interest. I turned the main image at just a slight little angle. Added those snowflakes from Paper Smooches. They are cut from felt that I already had in my stash. And I do want to point out that I used some crystal accents for his nose. And I kept the card very simple. And here's the envelope. It just says thinking of you. It is also handmade. So the last thing I made were 2 recipe cards, and but before I show you those, I want to show you, I wrote my partner a little note, just a very simple card that says hello. Now the blue embossing powder I used on that card is actually from Stampin' Up. I don't know if you guys can see that label, but this is like one of the original embossing powders that they ever made. It still works, but when you go to melt it, it actually smells like old crayons, which I found really interesting. So I left the piece out overnight, and all of that smell of that old crayon was completely gone. So I have no idea why it smelled like old crayons, but it did. So here's the envelope for my recipe card. I use my Dymo, whatever it is, to stamp the envelope. Excuse me, to make the label for the envelope. And then the card is inside. I bought a bunch of cookbooks online a year or so ago, and that way I don't have to type out recipes. I can find recipes I like. The first one is just a dessert recipe for sugar cookies. I used my retired Sizzix die, which is a little snowman that you see. Added some Google eyes. He was colored with an E77 marker. Actually, I colored it once, let it completely dry, colored it a second time so it had that nice dark brown color. The same snowflakes. I don't know if you can tell, but I cut a whole bunch of them while I had the dye out. The candy canes that you see on this recipe card are actually from the Stephanie Bernard Stamps of Life set. It is the one with the penguin in it, and it has the matching die, so I was able to easily stamp those and then die cut them. Now, I did something unusual with this because this is clear shrink plastic. It is not rough and ready. I actually used ordinary color box ink to stamp the images. Once it was heat set, I then glossy accented it. It did run a little bit, but I personally don't mind that. I think it adds character to the little card, and as you can see, I also made a tab for it and put a little label so that when the recipient receives this package, she'll know it's dessert. I made them standard 4x6. So, and then here's my second recipe card. Again, I used the Dymo label maker that I have in my stash to make it. This is just a plain vellum envelope that I made myself using my We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. Now this label right here, ladies and gentlemen, is actually a P-Touch labeler that I've had for a long time and I love it. Now, of course, as you all know, I love Shrinky Dinks, and the chicken is the newest French country chicken, and I just colored him, there we go, with Copic markers, and added some details to him. The lace and trim are from my stash. I cut another tab for the top. And then, of course, I just layered the recipe onto a second card so it would have some dimension. And that was it. It did not take me long to complete these projects, about 3 days. A lot of people say I'm a very fast crafter when indeed I am not. I generally have plenty of time to sit down and just complete a swap. So if I've got a project that I need to do that I'm swapping with someone else, or I have a project that I need to do for like a birthday gift, that kind of thing, I usually get my supplies and materials out and I start working, and they stay out until I'm completely done, which means pictures are taken and things like that, so that I can just pop them in the mail when it's time and be done. So I hope everyone's doing well. It is, what is it? Oh, it's February 25th. Here in Maryland, we are getting snow. We've got about 1 inch on the ground, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm ready for spring. I'm ready to get my hands dirty and get down in the dirt and start planting my spring garden of lettuce and spinach and those kind of vegetables. And then as it starts getting warmer, feel my need for having tomatoes, which is like my very favorite fruit or vegetable, whichever they've decided it is this week. So I think it's still a vegetable, but I do love tomatoes. So you guys take care. And please be kind to one another, stamp happy, always be a blessing, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for joining me with Stamping with Loretta. Bye now.